Don't mess with Mario. The man who brought us the famous phrase, whatever it takes to save the euro, was expected to deliver something big today, and he didn't disappoint. Paul Hannon joins me. Paul, what has he done? What's the ECB done?
He has unveiled a three-pronged attack on the problem of lowflation and low growth. The first prong is a cut in interest rates, including bringing their deposit rate into negative territory. Very unusual step for a major central bank, and something only the Danish have tried recently, and that involves essentially charging banks to keep their money safe at the ECB, the idea being that you more or less kind of force them to put it somewhere else. He's also unveiled a set of new longer-term cheap loans to banks, which he hopes will be passed on, or at least encourage them to lend to businesses. That's been one of the problems in the Eurozone. The lending figures for lending to businesses have been in constant decline for many, many months, and without that it's kind of difficult to see how the recovery really takes hold.
This is the TLTRO.
Yeah.
Trips off the tongue, right?
It does. Easy to remember. The third aspect of this, and he was very explicit about this, is a promise that they will do more if needed, and specifically that they will consider unconventional measures, which to most people means something that would look a bit like QE as pursued by the Fed and the Bank of England.
And why will this work when these sorts of measures like the LTRO haven't worked in the past? I mean, how confident do you think we can be that this will make a difference to low inflation?
I'm not sure we can be very confident that it will, but the central bank believes that it will. Mario Draghi declared himself and his colleagues confident that this time, finally, they've got it right. I'm not sure that any neutral observer would have quite that much faith. You know, the banks have had access to very cheap funding for a very long time, and it hasn't really persuaded them to do much with it. The fact is that demand for credit is actually pretty weak in the Eurozone. I mean, if growth has been low for a very long time and consumers are not exactly clamoring to buy your stuff, you don't really want to borrow that much money to sort of invest in new equipment or hire new workers. So we'll see. I mean, they've definitely given it their best shot. They've tried as much as, you know, anyone could really expect them to at this moment in time. But, you know, are they that convinced? If they keep this option of QE-like sort of measures in reserve, then clearly there's still some doubt in their minds that this is actually, you know, the final word.
Yeah, the market reaction is weird. Like the euro, for example, dropped quite sharply when the initial rates announcement came out. It's now pretty much back where it started. But I guess it's the move down in the euro from where it was before we were promised all of this that will matter to Draghi. I mean, how much do you think the ECB is looking at markets per se?
Well, I mean, they're definitely looking very closely at the foreign exchange markets and the value of the euro, because that, as Mr. Draghi has explained at length, 3 or 4 meetings in a row now, has a very direct connection with the inflation rate. A strong euro lowers import prices, and that adds to other factors which already, you know, are pushing the inflation rate lower. So they will be looking at that. As he said, it was slightly odd because, you know, from the moment he made his comments last month, there was an impact, and really what they've done this month is kind of in the range that people had in mind. I mean, it's a very long list of things, make no mistake, but none of those things in themselves is a big surprise. The big surprise would have been if instead of saying, you know, we could do QE in the future, they'd done QE today.
Yeah,
and
that was the big surprise.
Yeah, the fact that didn't happen probably explains why the euro didn't fall out of bed.
Okay, well, we'll tune in again start of next month, see what else he's got up his sleeve. Thanks very much.
Indeed we will.